issue of the wood through the trees or the forest through the woods, that is not specific to this area. This is a human affliction. I do this constantly. I get so caught up in bits and pieces that when it comes to having a more whole understanding of what I'm dealing with, I miss the point. However, within the field of substance use, something quite challenging happens, you know, and it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. It has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about once you invest in an idea, i.e. the idea that someone's an addict, or invest in the idea that someone's dependent, ill, sick, or diseased. Once you invest in that, then of course you start to feed the idea. And once you start to feed the idea, your whole training is directed in that direction. Your policy, your services, everything is then becomes constructed around that basic idea. And when faced with a new way of looking at something, all of a sudden that can feel quite intimidating, or it can feel quite daunting. The example here is that it can feel like a train that's going at high speed, and if I was to try and stop it, it may derail. So our fears get in the way of our ability to make change, and it gets in the way of our ability to ask different questions. Back to the earlier statement from Einstein, to do the same thing and expect a different result doesn't make sense. So our fear can get in the way of making change because we're so invested in that previous idea of thinking, of doing things. The resonance factor, and this is the last piece now, and I hope I haven't overly bored you. It's designed to allow the client to explore, to what degree he or she loves their substance of choice, to explore and reflect on the idea that he or she consciously, and I emphasize that, not unconsciously, not subconsciously, that he or she consciously prioritizes its substances, cocaine, over everything else in their life. And to acknowledge and understand that once I form a relationship with something, and it doesn't matter what I form a relationship with, it can be the TV, it can be a new girlfriend or partner or boyfriend, it could be a tree. Once I form a relationship with something, my behavior has to change to accommodate that relationship. Anytime a human being forms a relationship with something, his or her behavior has to change to accommodate that relationship. Hence, if somebody consumes substances, a behavior that he or she cultivates, as an example, is to externalize responsibility, i.e. to blame something or blame someone. For some individuals that consume substances, the individual operates from a place of justifications, or he or she may be dishonest. The reason an individual behaves in this manner is that if the individual were to be honest with him or herself, they may have to change what they're doing, i.e. to stop using substances. And if the individual is not invested in stopping using substances, then the individual has to be able to justify it. And the best way to justify something is to place the onus of responsibility somewhere else. So that's just a condensed and quick kind of exploration. But
If it's okay, I will pause there.
Thank you very much indeed, Kenneth. That was very gripping, if I can say that. It made an awful lot of sense from my perspective. One of the things I'm very fond of saying when I'm working public meetings and things is you have to think of humans as pleasure-seeking machines. And I know that sounds very reductive, but I think that's one way we can help kind of understand what is going on. And I think as well, as I was alluding to in the presentation I was doing, when a person uses, it's not just that relationship, they're buying into the culture that surrounds that drug as well. And I think that's very much part of what is the thought process that is going on. So thank you very much for your presentation.